Let's get into it. It was a wild Friday night in the 2023 NCAA Tournament. We started the day with 2 number 1 seeds left. We ended the day with 0 number 1 seeds left. First, San Diego State, my Aztecs, eliminated top seed Alabama 71-64. Then Miami eliminated top seed Houston 89-75. So for the first time ever, we have an Elite 8 with 0 number 1 seeds, which means something other than a number 1 seed will win the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2016. Dead leg. We're going to discuss both of these games independently later, but let's start with your reaction to what has arguably become, if not clearly become, the wackiest bracket we've ever seen.
It's one of the wackiest, although the current total, if you added up all the remaining seeds in the Elite Eight, is not the highest ever. So there is a counter wacky argument. And by the way, the last time there was no 1 seed that won it, it was in Houston, which is where we'll be going. It's been a really fun past couple of nights here. I was obviously at the Garden on Thursday, and I will be there again on Saturday to watch FAU play against Kansas State. Feels like the story we roll with here first, GP, is number 1 overall seed, right? I mean, the fact that we lose the number 1 overall seed, we lose all the 1 seeds, but Alabama going down means that Louisville 2013 is still the last time we had a 1 seed, number 1 overall, win a national championship. It's only happened 3 times in the 19 tournaments that we've done since this was started in 2004. And it also means that we're going to have the 4th Final Four without a 1 seed ever. 80, 06, and 2011 are the times that it's happened before. It's been wild. What was your primary takeaway on the day?
Well, obviously, getting to an Elite 8 with no number 1 seeds is historic. And I think everybody who covers college basketball or even follows it has tweeted or retweeted this. But the most interesting fact as it pertains to where we're at in this moment is that either Creighton, Florida Atlantic, Kansas State, or San Diego State is guaranteed to play for the national championship.
That's how the bracket works. That's correct. People love this, by the way. They love going. I'm looking at the bracket, and one of these teams got to do it. They love it.
Well,
Kansas State has been like a top 20 team all season long. So I get that. Preseason last team in the Big 12. I get it. Like Kansas State hasn't been to a Final Four in 60 years, and Creighton was a preseason top 10 team. So on one hand, you have a team that's supposed to be here or was supposed to be here in the preseason. And then you have another team that's got the best transfer in the country and a guy who's like the king of New York City right now. So it's not like we've got like complete random showing up to the party. Like San Diego State's been the best program in the Mountain West. I get it. Like it's going to be weird. Like we're going to see either the Aztecs or the Blue Jays or the Owls. No, I will not be doing an owl impression on this podcast, or the Wildcats from K-State in the title game. Like that's going to be weird. That's going to be different. But I'm a little bit more taken by the fact that of all the 8 coaches remaining, we got Greg McDermott, we've got Brian Dutcher, Dusty May, Jerome Tang, Dan Hurley, Mark Few, Rodney Terry, when we taken that interim tag off, and Jim Larinaga. We're going to have a first-time national championship head coach, no matter what. Someone's going to be cutting down the nets for the first time in their career, and I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, like I get it. Creighton was preseason top 10. Kansas State's been good all season. Florida Atlantic's won 34 games. San Diego State is an outright league champ and league tournament champ. All of these teams are good. That's not the point. The point is, like, if I would have just gave you those collection of teams at any point this season and said, hey, one of them is absolutely going to play on the first Monday night in April, you'd have been like, it would have paused you. It would have
paused me. I would have been paused. I absolutely would have been paused.
That's all. It's just it's a weird group of 4 to think that one of these teams is guaranteed to be 40 minutes away from a national championship in a few weeks.
Well, I'll also say this. I said this on HQ earlier. This did wind up being like, there have been, I don't know, GP, it feels like, maybe like 3 of the past 6 or 7 seasons we have had, reasonably so, we have had dialogue about how, like, man, this season's crazy in college basketball. We got all these unranked teams upsetting top 10 teams, and we got all these things that you see. Like it's the second time in 50 years where 6 top 10 teams lost over the weekend, like that kind of stuff. But then you get to the tournament, and like you look up and you get to a regional final or Final Four, and like a couple of high seeds have done what they needed to do, or we have teams that have been established themselves as the best teams in the sport. This time, it isn't that, because everyone was like, okay, it was starting to form, like, especially if like Bama and Houston had won on Friday, and it was like, all right, the 1 seeds on the opposite side, like they almost feel like they are headed for a collision course. That didn't happen. So we do have as parity driven of a tournament as the regular season indicated that we would have. So, there has been a balance to the equation of what we thought was going to happen. Agreed?
Yeah, like we had a wacky season where like there was a lot of different number one teams and all in surprise teams, but usually you're right. It feels like, if not, it actually does. Like the bracket, it ends where it should end. Like we might take a wild path, but then you look up and you go, all right, Final Four. Like at least two of these teams are teams that I always thought would get here or thought could get here. And yeah, maybe one of them is a surprise. You get a George Mason or a Loyola Chicago or a VCU. But on our way, like on the road to the Final Four, as they say, we typically have some wild curves, but you look up at the end of it and you go, okay, well, this kind of makes sense. And again, on some level, having, say, Creighton in the title game might make some sense. But I'll just go back 2 weeks. On the Monday after Selection Sunday, you have an AP poll that is published.
Mm-hmm.
And those 4 teams on that left side of the bracket that are remaining, Kansas State was 15th, San Diego State was 18th, Florida Atlantic was 25th, Creighton was unranked. So in the most recent AP poll, none of these teams were in the top 14, and one of them is playing for the national title. You put it that way, it appalls you.
Man, I love this tournament though. I get it. Like people are like, oh, we lost so many of these either big name coaches or power school. I get that. I love every tournament in every form, no matter how we get there, how we go from 68 to 64 to 32 to 16 to 8 to 4 to 2 to 1. I'll take it every single time.
Let me ask you this then. Okay, you love it because you live it.
I live it.
I love it because I know these people. And
okay, can we just start? You love it because you live it, man. You love the sport. I love it because,
well, no, I mean, because
I know who these people are.
But no, that's what I mean is that there will be something like that makes me genuinely happy about seeing Greg McDermott go to a Final Four, and Creighton, this awesome basketball program in this amazing city with this incredible fan base. Like there's something, Creighton in the Final Four. Wow, good for them. Florida Atlantic in the Final Four. Happy for Dusty. Happy for the entire program. Kansas State in the Final Four. What are you talking about? Happy for Jerome Tang.
What are we talking about here?
Keontae Johnson, Marquise Noel, the King of New York thing is unbelievable. The way that played out in the Garden. I'd be thrilled for Brent Stover. San Diego State. Like that's an awesome basketball program. And they've been consistently high level for a while and yet banged on because they didn't have NCAA tournament success. The idea that they could be playing for a national championship, awesome. I dig all of this stuff. But is it good for the sport of college basketball? Just because you and I can get excited about it. Because I've seen people argue about this online tonight. It's you tweet either Creighton, Florida Atlantic, Kansas State, San Diego State is guaranteed to play in the national championship game. And you get people going, oh, wow, this is great. And then you get other people going, hey, just let me know who wins it at the end. I don't care anymore. Where are you at on this? Is it good or bad for the sport?
I think it's fine. You might not see. I will see on the ratings. Actually, I don't know. I mean,
let me tell you, the ratings are going to be bad.
Okay. Well, there you go. Especially if it's a one-off deal, whatever. Like what you have here is, teams outside the power conference structures, somewhat like FAU, SDSU, although SDSU is probably going to the Pac-12 soon, but and where it is right now, competing. We have teams uncommonly in spots they aren't normally here, like Jerome Tang, Brian Dutcher, and Dusty May. Those coaches didn't have a tournament win to their name, and now they're all going to coach for the Final Four. That's just incredible, man. And you mentioned the no 1 seeds. It's even more than that. Texas is the only top 2 seed, and we had never before this year had any, even if you put 2 1 seeds, but no other 2s or no other 1s, we hadn't had that. Like, we've never had a year where there's been 1 or fewer top 2 seeds in the Elite 8. So I get it. Like, but on my end, what the TV rating is not going to affect how I enjoy this sport, how I cover it, the passion I bring to it. every single tournament is different. And from a broad perspective, yeah, if anything, the tournament's going to get attention over the weekend because it is so random and the teams that we have here and how different it is. And I'll take it, but I can hear the argument otherwise, man. This is what will happen. You put 68 teams in a bracket, anything can happen. Semi-random results generator, and that's what we're at. We got Owls and Blue Jays. I've been so busy, I didn't even get to. How about this? Creighton makes it. I'll look up what a Blue Jay sounds. I feel like I owe it. Boone did a great job. Your impressions have been getting progressively worse over the past 2 months. Wow. They've been terrible. I mean, they've been awful. But I feel like I got to step up. Blue Jays get in. I'll check out a Blue Jay noise, and I'll try and bring it on the Sunday pod if they get to the Final Four. But you got Blue Jays, you got Owls, you got Wild. On that side of the bracket, it does feel like the right side feels heavier, right? Between people going to call UConn Gonzaga the de facto national championship game, which is, oh, by the way, hilarious. Okay, so now we're going to give Gonzaga the credit. Okay, good deal. And then you got Texas on that side, and even Miami. People are going to say whatever team comes out of that's going to be the default champion, but we'll have to just see about that. That seems like the likely scenario, though.
If I gave you right side of the bracket at minus 150 right now to win the national championship,
I got to take it. I got to take it.
You would lay the 150 and you would take the right side. I saw it first off. Don't threaten me with a Blue Jay impersonation. I'll paint myself blue.
Okay. So you want to I'm merely trying to make a bird noise to get it to get to the level that Boone. By the way, Boone completely outclassed.
He nailed it.
He came into.
I was happy for him.
He came into this podcast and said, "Get the hell out of my way with your little I'm an owl," whatever it was, and brought it, man, and so I'm just trying to step it up. But if you want to go, I blew myself. By all means.
I got to calm down a little bit.
Yeah,
I was FaceTiming with my 6-year-old tonight, and he randomly went, "I'm a horn dog," and I said, "You're not a horn dog." Yeah, he called himself a horn dog. I said, "Buddy, you can't.
Only your daddy's allowed to call himself."
Yeah, you can't identify at 6 as a horn dog. And he just kept going. "I'm a horn dog." It was outright. I wish I knew how to tape stuff or record it or whatever it is you do, whatever it is people do. All these people are always getting secretly recorded. I wish I knew how to not secretly record my 6-year-old. Can't do it. I'm going to paint myself blue. You can do a Blue Jay impression. I'll just sit here being blue.
All right.
So I saw somebody in the YouTube comments say, I thought the early round ratings were really, really good. They were really, really good.
Best ever.
Watch these next 2 rounds. It'll probably be tough. I do think that what has happened is good in the sense that it highlights how inclusive the sport is and how accessible success can be, right? In college basketball, you can achieve notable things from nearly anywhere. Not everywhere, but from nearly everywhere. We just had Princeton in the Sweet 16. We've got Florida Atlantic in the Elite 8. I like that it proves high major level, mid major level, you can achieve notable things in this sport from nearly everywhere. That's good. The bad is that it is almost certainly going to be a television ratings nightmare, because no matter who comes out of the right side of that bracket, the left side of that bracket is going to create some not great ratings, probably. And I saw somebody say, "Hey, listen, the country's falling in love with Jerome Tang and Marquise Noel." And I think that is true on some level. Patrick Mahomes was tweeting about Marquise Noel.
Love it.
I love it, right? The idea that, we talked about this last night, we don't need to get into it again, but that was awesome. Marquise Noel at the Garden was awesome. And that is becoming a big story. But just to place it in proper context about how unfamiliar it really was to people until it happened. I was here in New York today, and I bumped into somebody who is a prominent sports media figure. Smart guy, talented guy, really good. And we bumped him and we were talking for a minute, and he said, "So this Noel guy, how has he been good all year?" Like he didn't know. He acknowledged, I just really, I never heard of him. That's where we're at. Even the Marquise Noel story that is awesome now is not a story that was familiar with anybody outside of our world, our very defined world, as recently as a couple of days ago. And so that is just, having had conversations with television executives over the years who monitor this stuff and understand it way better than we could. Honestly, you're better having a very good but never great Michigan State team in the Elite Eight than you are most of these teams in the Elite Eight. The big brands are what people watch, and we've lost not all of them, but we've lost most of them. And oh, by the way, 8 of the top 11 teams in the country, according to KenPom, are now gone. 8 of the top 11. Only UConn, Texas, Gonzaga remain. And I would say this is, I'd put it in the negative column. It's awesome that somebody, some school, some coach, some players are about to achieve something that they've never achieved. That's unbelievable. Those memories forever. The other side of it is that I think as we watch the rest of this tournament, with UConn maybe being an exception, Gonzaga just because they're so familiar, but as we watch the rest of this tournament, you're not going to feel like you're watching the best teams as much as you feel like you're watching the teams that have been playing really well over the past couple of weeks. And maybe that's not much different than, say, the Major League Baseball playoffs when a wild card team gets to the World Series. But it does feel like, if you put a list together of teams that college basketball experts thought could win the national championship 3 weeks ago, almost all of those teams are no longer in this tournament.